I feel like everybody my age and older has experienced the Parent Trap before, right? Whether it's the 1960s version with Hayley Mills or the 1998 one with Lindsay Lohan, it was huge for kids like me growing up in the 2000s. The classic story of two girls meeting at camp, realizing they're identical twins, and getting their divorced parents back together by switching places. It's a classic story where apparently early drafts of it took place during World War II. I am not kidding. But it gets better. Did you know that there are 5 movies in this series? A lot of people just remember the first one and the 1998 one. We'll get into why these other 3 are so interesting or not, and I'll delve into lost media later. We'll also be ranking them on a tier list because that's the only way I know how to develop opinions on media now. But for now, let's look at the first movie in the series, The Parent Trap from 1961. This one's relatively easy to find. It's on Disney+, which is convenient for me. If you're around my age, you probably grew up with the other big one, but my parents being old raised me on this instead. Based on the German children's book Lisa and Lottie, this is definitely very Americanized, as the story now takes place in the United States instead of Germany. They kept some stuff in, like one of the girls playing piano in a lot of the main plot, but left out some things to keep it more American and work for the movie. Speaking of the movie, let's get into the main plot and the beats. This story follows Susan and Sharon, who are at summer camp. The two of them start hating each other, and when they get punished for making a scene at a dance, the two of them are isolated, forced to spend every moment with each other. They start to form a bond, and that's when they realize that they're twins, separated as infants, each one going with a different parent. Susan going with her father in California, and Sharon going with the mother in Boston. They come up with a plan to switch places to get their parents back together and fall in love again. But the dad is about to marry Vicky, played by Joanna Barnes, a gold digger who's marrying for money. But they eventually scare her away, and it's all good, and the 4 of them are a family again. At the end of the day, it's a very simple story brought out by the main performances of the 2 girls, Hayley Mills. Each of them has their own character traits, and once they switch places, it's nice to see how they fit into each other's world. This thing is over 2 hours long, and it's slow, but not in the boring way. It's actually paced super well. As a kid, I actually really liked this one, but growing older, I start to see the flaws. It's a 1961 movie, so some of the effects when the two are on screen together aren't the best. The comedy of this movie comes from the slapstick, especially during the party scene. The discovery that the two of them are twins comes so naturally and feels realistic in the way that they react and figure it out, even if the concept is kind of just crazy in general. I do like how Sharon's grandfather and Susan's maid know something's up, and the grandfather jump scares Susan in the stairwell. Overall, it's a good movie and definitely worth revisiting for this video. It doesn't perfectly hold up, but it's a weird little time capsule of a movie. The vibes are immaculate. The ranch off the coast with the golf course, incredible vibes. You can tell they cared because of the way they give little hints in the first half. I'd have to give it a B. It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's a solid kids movie and really, really fun to revisit. Almost 20 years later, we have the sequel, a made-for-TV movie. Hayley Mills returns as Sharon and Susan. This one's hard to find mainly since it's not on Disney+, but it's still accessible if you try hard enough. But anyway, this movie opens with a montage of moments from the first movie before revealing that this takes place 20 years later, where Sharon has a daughter now named Nikki and is moving to New York. Something immediately noticeable is the acting, especially the child acting. Hayley Mills did fine in the original. You can tell she was kind of covering up her British accent just a little bit, but in this one, she's not good. She's just British. Anyway, her daughter spouts exposition at us and reveals that her mom, Sharon, is divorced as well. Her daughter's new friend has a single dad, and the whole movie is spent trying to get them together before Nikki moves away. Oh, hell nah, bro. They eventually meet up with her aunt Susan to try to get them together. They have a plan to have Susan pretend to be Sharon to get them together. Hayley Mills definitely plays both of them. She played them fine when she was younger, but there's just no difference between these two characters now, except for where they are in life. They call Aunt Susan up, and they essentially just spawn another Sharon. They don't have any unique traits or anything anymore. Anyway, Susan bonds with Mr. Grand more than Sharon did, and the effects on splitting Hayley Mills are better, but still not perfect. It's hard to tell who I'm watching since there's just no discernible features for each twin, whether physical or like character traits. Another thing is that they write these kids like they're 15 when they're like 5, which is crazy. Ultimately, it's just a kind of standard rom-com. The only connection to the original is that first montage with the twins. It doesn't feel like a Parent Trap movie like that first one. To me, the joy of that first one comes from the two twins realizing that they're twins and the plan they have to get their parents back together. This almost has nothing to do with it. The plan that these two girls have isn't anything crazy either. These two have very little chemistry and it's just awkward watching them interact. The movie understands this, that's why they bring in Susan. And I may be getting some things wrong here with the romance. I'm not a romance movie guy at all. I'm just a movie guy. I really wrote that. What the hell? It's essentially just a Disney Channel movie with a low budget and bad audio mixing. interesting. Overall, the movie's fine. It's pretty standard. It's just a standard rom-com with some fun-ish elements when Susan gets involved. It doesn't really share a lot of DNA of what made that original so interesting. There was depth to those characters, and here they're just kind of flanderized to hell and back. It's a C tier for me. It just doesn't have what makes the original so good. It's very standard.
Why doesn't she just take me out to a pistol range and shoot me?
So this one's pretty hard to find. It's basically scrubbed off the internet, and the only remnants are like 2 pixels, which is awesome. Anyway, this one's even more low budget and has even worse audio mixing. It also follows triplets. Fun, instead of twins, it's triplets. How creative. Their dad is getting married to Cassie, and the triplets don't know. They don't like her though, and don't want him to marry her. One of the girls has a boyfriend whose name is Hawk, and the dad, Jeff, doesn't like him. Turns out one of them is cheating. I think I can't see anything, man. There's so much going on. There's this dinner scene at the beginning where just random people walk in like a sitcom, and we're just expected to know who's who and what's going on. I'm going insane. Who the hell are these people? I got overwhelmed not even 20 minutes in. They just do not introduce these characters at all, and the video quality does not help because I cannot see any of the characters' faces. Then Susan comes in. Cassie asked her to help her with the house, even though we're never really told what she does. It's kind of like a contractor or something. She kind of just says it's good for people to tear apart the house. The girls then ask Cassie what they're doing to the house, what they're making it into, and she goes, really cool. I'm gonna kill this. Yeah, man, sure. The main conflict is that after the news is spilled to the girls, they try and get Susan and their dad to fall in love. Wasn't Susan married in the other movie? They got divorced, I guess, but at the end of the movie, you still don't know these characters, and these triplets are too alike and they don't differentiate enough. I talked about the second one just not giving the girls any discernible character traits, and that's even worse here. If most of the other characters can't tell the girls apart, then that's crazy, because I can't either, because this video quality is just god-awful. They have this moment a quarter way through the movie where Susan and one of the triplets talk as the girl's reading a romance novel, saying how it's slop, it's so boring and simple, which is essentially the writers just saying that this movie is so much better than most romance stories. If you see my Nostalgia Critic video, you know that one of my least favorite things is when a movie or a piece of media acts like it's better than something in that genre, when it's just not. This is saying that it's better than most romance pieces, which it's just not. It's standard and somehow boring and overwhelming at the exact same time. I don't know how they do it. At least the sequels are short, only about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it somehow feels longer than that first one, but it's an hour shorter.
Lisa? Jesse. Jesse?
David. Dad.
What is going on? But they talk about other stuff. The music is fine. The cinematography is fine, I think. I don't know. The acting is better. The triplets are pretty good, but it just doesn't save the movie. One of the girls runs away with Hawk. Oh no. Then they go get her. Woohoo. I don't care. I'm done. Can we move on from these people, please? I'm gonna kill myself. Coming out the exact same year, we have Parent Trap Hawaiian Honeymoon, following the same characters from the last one. Wonderful. The most interesting part is the fact that this movie was not very well archived and mostly lost, so that's cool, I guess. The opening gag is sort of funny with the package arriving and needing the dad's signature, and both the twins and the triplets try to get Mr. Wyatt, but none of them know that the other people are also trying to help him. Sure. Anyway, the wedding's in a few days for Susan and Jeffrey Wyatt, and everybody's getting ready. Meanwhile, they inherit a hotel in Hawaii and all want to go, except for Jeffrey. Susan tries her best to get him to go, and we cut to Hawaii after the wedding. The hotel is run down and they have to fix it up. Hilarity ensues. The conflict of this film is on the floor, which can be fun, but I don't know, it's just kind of boring. Nothing happens. It's not like a hangout movie with fun characters like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or American Graffiti. It's more like they took the characters from the last one and put them in a new setting and called it a day. There's just nothing here, and again, the characters aren't well defined enough to do something interesting like this. It's got a fun vibe and they actually start to define the characters here, but it's just not enough. It's moderately entertaining. I just don't have anything to say about it. D tier.
Just try to imagine what your father would think about it.
Oh, I'm not buying it for him.
That's funny, but that's the main Parent Trap quadrilogy. It starts very strong and ultimately levels out the further it goes on. These later ones make me remember that second one kind of fondly, I'll be honest. The characters sort of start to feel defined in that fourth one, but we just need more time with them to make it work. Now, 9 years later, they completely rebooted the franchise. Let's see what they do with it. A lot of people grew up with this one since this was a big movie back in the day. As I've said before, I did not. I remember not liking this originally when I saw it because it wasn't like that 60s one that I grew up with, but rewatching it puts it into perspective. This movie is directed by Nancy Meyers, who is a pretty successful filmmaker. Let's see how she does. The movie starts with Nat King Cole's Love, and you can tell based on this movie's opening that they got a way higher budget than the last three. And fun fact, this was a first movie for Lindsay Lohan, which is made even better because her performance of the twins it's fine. I don't know. It shows a lot of potential. I used to hate this movie for the changes it made to that original movie, but they kind of take that original script and update it for the 90s. It feels very of the time, but not in a goofy movie way where it still feels timeless, even though it's like the most 90s thing you've ever seen in your life. We're introduced to Hallie Parker, who lives in California with her dad, and then Annie James, who lives in London with her mother. The weird thing is that these two girls really like poker. It's one of the reasons they bond, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The girls unknowingly start fencing at the camp with each other in a weird scene, and they realize they look just like each other. Instead of that subtle buildup and confusion from each person, they both just turn around and gasp, like very subtle guys. They start fighting and getting mad at each other for some reason.
I'll take a whack at it.
Dude, my mind is rotted. In that first one, they get mad at each other for pulling pranks on each other, and that leads to them at the isolation table. They pull pranks here, and it kind of develops in the same way, but it doesn't really seem like a natural hatred. Annie hates Hallie because she beat her in fencing. Like, it just feels way more natural in the original. One thing they bond over is eating Oreos with peanut butter. What are we, like 5? This is more well-made and better edited than the original, but ultimately it just feels bigger in scope and scale. There are some changes I enjoy, sure, but they're brought down by the stupid slow-mo and 90s filmmaking. Why did we need it here? They do this a lot and it ruins the emotion of it. It just takes me completely out of it. Overall, it's the same story, just told differently and updated for the 90s, which is fine, but some of the techniques used are very dated when looking at them in current year. One thing that's insane is Vicky makes an appearance. Yes, that Vicky. Turns out her daughter's getting married to the dad in this movie, and she's upset that it's happening again. She's even played by Joanna Barnes, who played her in the first one, which is kind of crazy. But this thing is so corny at times. I'm not sure how it was in the 90s, but like, look at this, man. I could go through every single change, but them using the 60s one as a template for the script to make certain lines stand out. Overall, though, I think I'd rate it a solid B. It's about the same as the first one, where the other lacks in filmmaking, it makes up with in pacing and charm. Where this one lacks in pacing and charm, it makes up for in filmmaking. I didn't grow up with this, but it's solid for what it is, and I get why it's considered a classic. It's fun. I don't know. And that's it. That's the old Parent Trap movie. They haven't done anything at all since this past one. And in all honesty, I'd love to see another one, and those sequels take this concept and stretch it completely thin. Where do you even go from here? I don't know. While I have nostalgia for that first one, these 3 are just filler, and the reboot is kind of fun, I'll admit. And the concept of the film is just crazy. Like, it's never presented like that, but it's just always a hypothetical. Like, what do you do if you meet your twin at summer camp? The series is very romantic, which is fine, but I prefer the stuff with the twins switching places. That's honestly what grabs me with this series. I wish we got more of that. It's so focused on these characters getting their parents back together, but I want more time with it. They should reboot it again with a different modern spin, kind of like Freaky Friday, that new reboot. And in all honesty, I haven't seen any of these Freaky Friday films, but I think it would be fun to go through if there's a demand for it. Let me know. Even the characters in the main 2 films say they want more time with these parents. I want more time with these characters, but you know, whatever. It was a nice revisit, and I don't prefer most of the films, but hey, that's the list. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.